What's up, guys? It's Solo back with another video here on the second channel, Solo2, putting out today. We're going to be reacting to a new Jimmy High Roller video, who is, in my opinion, one of the best basketball YouTubers. He's probably the best basketball YouTuber on the entire platform. The amount of work that goes in his videos is insane. If you've never seen one of his videos, which I'm sure you guys have, you're about to see it, and you'll be able to tell how good his videos actually are. But today we got when everyone can shoot and there's nothing you can do about it. I think it's going to be a good one, and this might be about the Warriors, which I'm a Warriors fan, so this is going to be interesting. If you guys are new, make sure to sub. We're on the road to 15K. Drop a like in the video. I hope everybody has happy holidays. If you guys celebrate Hanukkah, Christmas, Kwanzaa, whatever you guys celebrate. If you don't celebrate anything, you know, I'm just hoping that you enjoy the break if you're on a break or whatever. Spend time with your families. But without further ado, let's get into this.
In 1996, the NBA introduced a new metric for data tracking that would revolutionize the league: shooting location data. This new information provided far more than the basic data that we had had for decades. Shot location data tracked specific instances on the court, like exactly
I didn't
where
even
a
know
shot
this was a thing.
taken, if a shot came from an assist, or if a shot
I did not
attempted
know
at
this
the
was a
rim
thing.
was a layup or a dunk. At the time, this data was groundbreaking and spawned a new wave of analytics in the NBA. For the first time, we could actually use numbers and data to take a deeper look into what was happening throughout NBA games. Fortunately, this game-changing data was implemented just in time to track Michael Jordan's last 2 seasons with the Bulls. And this new data revealed what NBA fans had already known for over a decade. Michael Jordan was a mid-range god. According to shot location data, MJ shot 47.1%.
Let's see what we got.
Or from 10 to 23 feet from the basket in his last 2 seasons with the Bulls. Now, this number may not sound all that impressive, but among the 80 players who attempted at least 3
the best mid-range shooters of the late 90s. So if you're higher up, you have the higher field goal percent for mid-range, and to the right, more mid-range shots per game. So the best shooters are going to be up here. So Tim Hardaway. Watch, he's going to drag the chart, and MJ's going to be like way at the top. Yeah, I knew it.
Seasons,
he always does
Jordan
this.
Was the best and most efficient. If all the other statistics the NBA has to offer weren't sufficient enough,
he attempted the most.
Data proved once again.
I wonder where like DeMar DeRozan would be.
Of his own. This is the gold standard. Well, at least it used to be, because we still use shot.
I wonder who that dot is next to
NBA.
Mitch Richmond.
And this season, among all players who have attempted at least 3 mid-range shots per game, there are 22
oh my God. There's DeMar.
Mid-range field goal percentage higher than
KD. Oh, higher up is like higher field goal. To the right means the more you took. So DeMar does take the most mid-ranges.
Today's NBA players are really good at shooting the ball. In fact, they're so good, it's changing the game in ways
LeBron's
we
not
never
on there.
Imagined. Well, since you're watching this video, I'm sure you have. Before we had players like Steph, Dame, and Clay, we had Kobe, Ray, and Peja. And before them, we had guys like Larry Bird, Derek Harper, and Dale Ellis. Shooters who you can bet
that shot was crazy, bro. That Lillard shot.
The shooter is one of the most game-altering roles in basketball. The shooter can turn a double-digit lead into a tie game in absolutely no time at all. The shooter has the ultimate green light. But what happens when everyone in the league is the shooter? In past eras of the NBA, the shooter was a very specific, very defined role that was given to only the most elite shot makers in the game. But
I think this is a hot take. I don't know if this is going to make sense, but I think when the league shifts to like everyone can shoot, because I think that's the way it's kind of going. People see that winners have a lot of good shooters. I think that those type of Giannis type players, or those like type of brutal, just strong players, those will be valuable. And I think the league's going to keep going through phases where it like switches back and forth to like, okay, it's in a shooting phase where the best teams are all shooting. And then there's going to be like those brutal type strong players where it switches back to that. And it's going to, I think it's going to, I don't know if that makes sense. I think it's going to keep flip-flopping back and forth.
What if I told you that about 80% of the greatest shooters in NBA history are all in the NBA right now? It sounds like a stretch, I know. But it's true. And as the NBA continues to evolve, the ability to be a great shooter will be less of an exception and more of a requirement. As we all know, the league has been going through a three-point revolution over the last 8 seasons or so. Teams and players realized the massive advantage that three-pointers provide, and very quickly the desire to be proficient at the long ball became priority number 1. Players practice the shot more, teams built entire offenses around the shot, and the efficiency of the shot.
You just can't win if you don't have three-point shooting. Like the Lakers,
was added to the
like
NBA,
what?
The benchmark
They have,
for what we consider
they have
to
like
be
no
a
three-point shooting. Like they just don't stand a chance.
Has been about 40%, and this benchmark has virtually remained the standard ever since. But dating back to
why would you build a team like
the number
that?
of players around the league who have shot at least 40% from three has fluctuated drastically, from as low as 7 players in 1991 to as high as 28 players in 1996. But the three-point line was 2 feet shorter that season, so those numbers are skewed. As we make our way through recent NBA history, the number of players capable of shooting 40% or more from three rises all the way up to 38 players in 2009, but then plummets back down to 17 the very next season. That total of 38 players would remain the league record for over a decade.
See, the thing is, the efficiency is not really going to change much, but the attempts is what's going to change. The attempts are going to go way up, but the efficiency is not.
Record-shattering 50 players averaged at least 40% from three in 2021.
I mean, it's a slight increase. There's a slight increase
where 45
overall.
Players are currently exceeding what was once the benchmark number of 40%. The number of pure shooters in the NBA right now is absolutely absurd. But what if we remove the players that achieve their efficiency with minimal attempts? If we bump the minimum to at least 4 three-point attempts per game, well, then our chart looks like this. And the overwhelming number of great shooters that are currently
so those are the elite
right
shooters, though,
becomes even more glaring.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, for a lot of players in the past, shooting volume three-pointers just wasn't an option. It was far from normal.
He didn't accept that. Coaches would get mad.
A game,
it just wasn't like normal.
But that's just it. The revolution of three-pointers in recent NBA history has allowed more players to become the shooter, but it's also allowed the shooter to have a much larger role.
That's
from
crazy,
game to game.
bro. That Curry just hits those regularly.
And
Like,
blew
look at
the
this.
gates
He's just
open
heaving
on
it
what
up.
kind of shooting we even thought was possible. Ray Allen was widely regarded as the greatest three-point shooter of all time. And throughout Ray Allen's peak,
Ray Allen was a dog, bro.
2007,
he was a dog.
38% from three on 7.5 three-point attempts per game. Just like Michael Jordan with his mid-range, Ray Allen and his exceptional efficiency on volume shooting was the gold standard for all shooters.
Bro, Ray Allen was a dog.
However, is no longer the case.
He's probably the third best shooter of all time.
There are 11 players around the league who are all averaging a higher three-point percentage on more three-point attempts.
Bro, Curry at the top, 41% on 11 attempts is absurd.
Run as the best shooter on the planet. Shot location data has revealed that
he has most attempts and the highest efficiency.
It isn't a league that prides itself on defense or even versatility or teamwork for that matter. The NBA is a shooter's league, and this trend can even be seen in the efficiency of free throws. The simplest shot in all of basketball. A shot that literally has the word
like
free.
Championship teams don't really miss free throws. Like if you want to go far, free throws are huge. So hopefully Giannis can figure that out because he's been struggling.
More now than it ever has been. This season, there are 16 players averaging at least 90% from the free throw line. Go back just 10 years ago to the 2012-2013 NBA season, and the number of players who averaged at least 90% from the charity stripe was just 3. In fact, we don't have to go back very far to find seasons where the 90% threshold was reserved for only 1 or 2 players in any given season.
Damn, 95% from what the? Yo, who was that?
Held exclusively by Larry Bird.
Larry Bird is a dog.
Drastically since Bird's retirement 3 decades ago,
he was genuinely
different.
Still
regarded as one of the greatest shooters to ever lace up. And throughout Bird's career, he led the league in free throw percentage 4 times. In one of those seasons, Bird shot better than anyone else in the entire NBA when he shot 88.8% from the line.
I hope Bird doesn't become one of those forgotten NBA players as time goes on. Like he's not, but
22 players who are shooting at
I'm talking 20, 30 years in the future. I hope he's still talked about as one of the greats.
What was once a free throw rate good enough to lead the league now wouldn't even crack the top 20 in today's league. Only through decades of trial and error have NBA teams discovered which shots are worth taking and which shots are not. Combine offensive schemes designed to get great open shots with the most talented shooters in NBA history, and players around the league are simply hitting far more shots than ever before. Now, one of the more popular advanced stats is offensive rating. This stat simply measures how many points a team scores per 100 possessions. It's an efficiency stat. When a team brings the ball down the court, how often are they scoring? In the 1999-2000 season,
I'm pretty sure the Celtics were really high at that last year.
The entire NBA was held by the Indiana Pacers, who had an offensive rating of 108.5. This season, the Charlotte Hornets are the least efficient offensive team in the entire NBA with a rating of 108.7. The worst offensive team.
I've been watching a lot of basketball this year. If you watch a Hornets game, they just chuck. Like, they play so fast. They just chuck up threes. They score points. They're not efficient, though. They also don't really get boards.
The NBA today is more efficient than the best offensive team in the NBA just 2 decades ago. In today's NBA, we are constantly seeing point totals well over 120.
Look at them. They're scoring.
130 at times.
Their efficiency
After watching the dead ball era for over a decade, where a team could win a game after scoring just 80 points, seeing 250 points scored in a single NBA game on a regular basis can be a bit jarring. The most common explanation for these insane point totals being that teams just don't play defense anymore. And this is somewhat true, but a lack of intense, disciplined defense is not nearly the largest factor that leads to these point totals. At a certain point, good offense is going to beat good defense. So what happens when the entire league slowly becomes more and more unguarded?
It's going to look like an all-star game.
There's no defensive scheme that can keep up with this level of offensive efficiency. 80% of the greatest shooters in NBA history are all in the NBA right now. Not because they're innately better shooters than past players, but because in order to even play in today's NBA, this level of elite shooting has virtually become a requirement. Young stars around the league, players who are 21, 22, 23, were just kids when the three-point revolution began.
Cade's going to be really good.
Players have
so is Ant.
known a game that revolved
They're both
going to
be so good.
Threes and long jumpers. So where past players didn't hone in on their shooting abilities until later on in their careers, these young players have been trained to knock down the deep ball from the minute they picked up a basketball. By the time Steph won his first MVP, players like Tyler Hero, Jordan Poole, John Morant, Darius Garland, Anthony Simons, Anthony Edwards were just starting their prep careers. By the time they had made it to the league, they already had more long-range reps than past players would get in an entire career. Today's NBA is built for the shooter because it was designed by the shooter. Years and years ago, Larry Bird was the blueprint. In a league where getting the ball into the post was an absolute necessity, he showed us that three-pointers were actually worth taking. Reggie Miller and Ray Allen were the next iteration of the shooter. No longer was the shot reserved for just spot-up shooters a handful of times a game, but you could take the shot off the dribble. You can pull up from three in an ISO situation. You can take them in volume and not be crucified for doing so. And players like Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Damian Lillard, and Kevin Durant took shooting
if I said KD, I would have nailed all of them.
A shot from 30 feet out was no longer a last-second heave, but now an actual, real shot attempt. They proved that you can win a championship led by not big men, but by shooters. And they spawned an entire generation of shot makers unlike anything the league has ever seen. And with that being said, I'd like to leave y'all with this. Back in 1988, a player named Michael Adams broke new ground in the NBA. At the time, Michael was a young point guard.
I heard of him. He had a record, or he still has it. Oh, what is it? I can't think of it. Fuck. I literally saw it the other day.
In his third season in the league, playing for the Denver Nuggets. Now, Michael wasn't what you would call a sharpshooter, especially by today's standards. But that didn't stop Michael from doing what no other player had done before. Because in that season 35 years ago, Michael attempted 4.6 three-pointers per game. Nearly half
his jumper
of his
is fucking crucified. Holy shit.
Came from beyond the arc. This was the first time since the introduction of the three-point line that a player shot at least 4 threes a game. He didn't know it at the time, but Michael Adams was the NBA's first volume three-point shooter. And since that season 35 years ago,
that's the record? That's not even what I remember.
55 individual seasons where a player has maintained a true
his jumper was cruise. Yo, who was letting him shoot?
While attempting
who told him that was a good idea?
4 threes a game. That's 35 years of thousands of shooters condensed to just 255 of the very best the NBA has ever had to offer.
Who's the top guy?
Seasons,
who was averaging 13? Is that Trae Young?
Came from players who
was averaging 13 threes a game.
The National Basketball Association is a shooters league, and today's shooters are in a league of their own.
Is it Curry?
Hope you all enjoyed, and as always, until next time.
I feel like Curry's a little lower than that. That was like 13 and a half. Pretty good Jimmy High Roller video. Let me know what you guys think of it. But yeah, the league's just, I mean, it's obvious. The league's turning into a shooters league. Every team just wants shooters. You got to build around shooters. A team like the Lakers, I mentioned before, they don't really have shooters. I don't see how they can win with that. Like, it just doesn't really make sense to me. Maybe they just couldn't sign them. People didn't want to go there for some reason. But yeah, I've recorded a bunch of videos today. I'm grinding. We're daily uploading on this channel. Like I said, happy holidays. But some videos are going to pop up on the screen. If you guys want to watch more of my videos, drop a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.